While driving past Exit 4 on I-24 in Paducah, Kentucky, if you look to your right, you'll see a piece of land covered with overgrown grass and small trees that today just looks like any ordinary undeveloped property. But what some people may not know about this particular spot is that it was once home to Millsprings, Paducah's first and only Western-themed family fun park. Millsprings was the vision of Sean Burke and wife Darcy Burke, with Sean subcontracting the construction to build the attraction, and Darcy, using her experience as a commercial designer, responsible for helping to theme the park and create an alluring atmosphere where people would want to linger for long periods of time and keep returning. Millsprings Family Fun Park opened in 1993, and at the time, the only other business located on McBride Lane was a diesel repair shop and a Hampton Inn. Welcoming you in the park was a giant sign hung between two large poles with the Millsprings Family Fun Park name painted on it in a Western-style font. Just a short walk later, after parking, you would come to a wooden bridge. Mounted on this bridge was a small vending machine filled with fish food to feed the variety of fish swimming below the bridge. The food would dispense after a quarter was placed in the slot and the crank was turned. The park was the center of many engagements and weddings, family gatherings, birthday parties, concerts, field trips, and holiday celebrations, such as Millsprings Fall Harvest events. One of the focuses of the park, besides being a place where families and kids of all ages could enjoy, were group events. The park held company events, such as picnics for the global security and aerospace company Lockheed Martin, cardboard and paper producer West Vaco, dairy manufacturing company Flavor Rich, and many, many others. According to park documents, the largest group event that was held at Millsprings was for a group of over 2,000 people. In addition to group events, Millsprings also hosted special events at the park for school field trips. These events included alligator wrestling, shark tanks, and petting zoos with exotic animals not typically seen close up in the West Kentucky area. In an email conversation with one of the owners mentioned earlier, Darcy Burke, she says, quote, "We took a lot of joy and time creatively in coming up with unique ideas to keep people coming year after year. Our slogan was, Millsprings, the funnest place to be." Throughout a typical visit to the park, guests were treated with Western-style skits. The park produced 3 staged performances that were held on weekends with costumes and props made for each show to go along with the theme of the park. Other skits included gallows hanging, a sheriff showdown, and even a gunfight with corrupt Millsprings villains, the Isaac brothers. Occasionally, guests were also treated to a damsel in distress skit, with the damsel being saved in a rehearsed performance in the park. For smaller children, the park offered interactive activities and a variety of stories read by actors in Western costumes. In addition to the live-action Western shootouts and damsels in distress, Millsprings offered a wide variety of other entertainment, such as slick track go-karts, bumper boats, an 18-hole golf course, a slow-paced kiddie Jeep ride, bumper cars that were purchased from Six Flags, a scrambler, kiddie canoe ride, paddle boats, a small wooden roller coaster, and Tin Lizzies, which were small Model T replica cars that had a specific path in the park to drive on. These cars were purchased from Opryland in Nashville, Tennessee, which closed December 31st, 1997. The theme park even had its own restaurant called Sir's Eats, which stuck closely to the Western theme. For a tour around the park, a stagecoach ride was available with 2 beautiful dappled gray Percheron horses. The coach was built with help from specifications from the Smithsonian Institute. The stagecoach was suspended by thick leather straps for an air ride, just like the original Wells Fargo stagecoach. It took 12 months to complete it and was a very popular ride in the park. The Ferris wheel came from Michigan and was one of the largest wheels made by the Eli Bridge Company, a family-owned amusement ride manufacturer headquartered in Jacksonville, Illinois. The Burks requested a full light kit to be installed on the wheel to give it greater visibility from I-24, and was the specific ride where many proposals occurred during summer nights. Several celebrities made their way through Millsprings Park, including Leanne Rimes, Stephen Curtis Chapman, Tommy Lee Jones, along with Demi Moore and Bruce Willis, just to name a few. Plans for expansion included the backside of the property becoming a full-blown water park, and the park was to be renamed Millsprings and Splash to reflect the expansion, but unfortunately, those plans never came to fruition. The park closed in November of 1999, with the owners citing a decline in attendance, and with it being a seasonal operation, a decrease in customers can have a much larger effect, considering the small window of warm temperature months that an outdoor operation can be opened. The bank that lent the money for the original loan to build the park was approached with an option, so Millsprings could avoid filing for bankruptcy. Darcy Burke explains, "Instead of filing bankruptcy, we made a proposal to the bank that loaned us the money to build the amusement park, and they accepted our offer and took full possession," adding, "Though Millsprings was challenging, even for visionaries who were in their mid to late 30s, it was both an honor and a privilege. We do not regret having done it. I always say it was the best of times and it was the worst of times, but it helped me grow in every way." One of the challenges Darcy was referring to was the fear of flooding, which occurred 3 different times while the park was opened. Today, the real estate sits vacant, surrounded by retail stores such as Academy Sports and a Texas Roadhouse. These days, instead of the laughter, conversations of attendees in the park, the noise of the slick track go-karts, horses galloping, Tin Lizzies rumbling through the park, and the sound of the Ferris wheel making another rotation, the only sounds you hear while being out where the park once stood is the sound of speeding traffic from the interstate. There's very little pieces of evidence that remain of that short-lived Western theme park other than the bridge, which still stands, and a few concrete slabs. But to many that lived in the Paducah and surrounding areas while it was open, the memories will remain for a lifetime. Thanks for joining us through this look back at Millsprings Family Fun Park, the funnest place to be.
Where you gonna go when the rivers rise and swallow up this town? Will you run back to the countryside or find a place upstairs tonight? 59 foot high, 59 foot and it's on the rise. Seen the bodies floating around and they're coming out the ground. Where you gonna go when the rivers rise and swallow up this town? Will you run back to the countryside or find a place upstairs to die? Seen you dancing down Broadway, thought you had another day, and you're sipping on your gin. Well, sorry friend, but it's the end. Where you gonna go when the rivers rise and swallow up this town? Will you run back to the country countryside or find a place.
Howdy, partners. I'm Billy the Cow from Millsprings. Tired of roaming around the same old pastures? Grazing around the same old watering hole? Move on over to Millsprings Family Fun Park, where family fun is our middle name and affordable fun for the entire herd. Move!